Okay, I've worked with hundreds of freelancers, and I can say without a doubt that if you don't have any freelance clients, it is because you are missing one or more of these 4 non-negotiable ingredients. If you're missing any of these 4 things, it will make landing clients consistently and ultimately freelancing full-time really difficult, really tricky for you. These are of course not the only 4 things to landing clients, but these are the most common problems that I see. By the way, it's not your fault if you're missing any of these things. We aren't really formally taught how to land clients, and landing clients isn't easy peasy, so come sit down, grab some pen and paper, get real comfy, and let's figure out why you're not landing clients together in this video. Hey, it's Daya, freelancer, digital business manager, and most recently, entrepreneur. And as always, you can find sections on the play bar below if you want to skip to a certain part of the video. Your time is precious, take what you need. If you want to watch this on 2x, I won't be offended. Let's dive in. So the first reason you may not have any clients is because nobody wants to buy what you are offering. And I know that might be rough to hear, but this is one of the most often overlooked things you need to land clients, and that is to offer something that the market actually wants. So the first question I want you to honestly answer is, does the market need what you are offering? And if you want to get a little bit more advanced, a follow-up question, does the market desperately need what you're offering? How big of a problem does your service solve? How dire is the problem that you're actually solving? And we're getting a little granular now, but I want you to consider supply and demand, because in the capitalistic society that we live in, we have to operate by demand and supply some way, shape, or form. That means if the service you're offering as a freelancer is not in demand, aka nobody wants or needs it, it doesn't matter how good you do any sort of client acquisition later on, it's going to be just really rough to convince anyone to buy it because they don't need it. It's like trying to sell heaters in the middle of summer in a tropical country. You're just gonna have a really rough time. So the higher the demand, the lower the supply, you guessed it, the easier it will be for you to choose your pricing and land clients. And I have to draw this. A lot of times I talk to freelancers who are offering services that are really low demand and high supply, like data entry or admin work, and they don't understand why they're fighting for clients and struggling with increasing prices with those clients. It is because you are here in the low demand, high supply area. There's nothing wrong with being there or starting there. I did. I'm just trying to show you why you're having a harder time than intermediate freelancers who are where the demand is higher and the supply is lower. So when supply is greater than demand, prices go down. When demand is higher than supply, prices go up. And of course, once upon a time, I started here too. I was doing all the basic admin, data entry, manual stuff because I didn't have any work experience. But as much as possible, you need to be moving here. You have options here. You have fame, fortune, and fun stuff over here. So since 2016, I've slowly moved myself essentially along this demand ladder by offering more in-demand services, and it made all the difference, honestly. So I need you to ask yourself, what am I offering? Does the market kind of want this thing or really desperately needs this thing ASAP? And of course, by market, I don't mean the whole market has to want it. I just mean a subsection of the market called your target clients. Now you might be thinking, Daya, how do I figure out if something is in demand or not, right? So normally, the bigger the problem you can solve for a business owner, the more in demand you will be. So the more you can get to your target clients, deepest, darkest problems, the better. And if you're saying, Daya, I don't know what those are. How do I know what those are? I need you to pause for a second. How can you fix the fact that you don't know what those are? You're so smart, otherwise you wouldn't be here watching this video. So if you don't know what those problems are, how can you figure this out? Every successful business in the world does customer research. Freelancing businesses should be no different. So you can do a little customer research to find out what the problems are. If my target client is course creators, I would book calls with 5 to 10 course creators and ask them tons of questions. I'd make sure it's easy for them to say yes to doing the calls, maybe buy them a coffee or give them something free or something. And on these calls, you want to find out what your target clients' biggest problems are, what really achingly hurts them. And I promise there are those things. 2, what do they desperately need and still don't have? What are the biggest bottlenecks in their business that's preventing them from making more money and having the business of their dreams? And 4, if you want to get even bigger than that, bigger than their business, why are they not living their dream life right now? What is preventing that from happening? These questions are ultimately what helped me find the role of digital business manager and get up the pricing ladder myself, because I began solving bigger and much more frustrating problems for business owners. So then I could charge more money because I was solving bigger problems, so on, so forth, all that good stuff. And final tip here, the closer your service is tied to return on investment, ROI, the better as well. So if your financial impact on the business is both 1, high, and 2, obvious to the business owner, that is really killer. So this is the first thing that I need you to honestly double check if you have. If you don't have it right now, that's okay. It'll come with time slowly. So just be aware of this transition. This is kind of your long-term strategy to move up this pricing ladder. And like I mentioned, back in 2016, I was all the way at the bottom of the pricing ladder. I was doing admin work, data entry, very competitive work. It was really hard to compete and land clients there. And it is a lot easier at the end of the pricing ladder. That's just my 3 cents. But all right, so that's the first thing. We have to have something that the market wants. Now, the next reason you may not have any clients is because you're expecting people to magically show up at your digital door. Don't lie. I definitely expected that when I first started. We and our awesome service are over here. Our target clients are over here. Now what? Will they just magically show up and give us money and be like, oh my gosh, take my money? Nope. Nope, they won't. They don't know that you're over here. They don't know you exist yet. We have to get ourselves in front of these people, and not just once or twice. We need to get ourselves in front of them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is a huge problem I see very often, which is beginner freelancers kind of like haphazardly apply to work or haphazardly cold pitch. They do it once or twice, or they do it all in one day, and then they wait patiently for someone to come for like weeks and months. That is not how you're going to consistently land clients. That will never be how you consistently land clients. Businesses, like think about really big businesses. They don't do just marketing once or twice and hope people magically show up and buy stuff. Businesses do marketing consistently and all the time. They have entire departments dedicated to marketing a trillion different ways. And as a freelancer, you need the same. On a smaller scale, of course. You need a marketing system, first of all, and you need constant feedback to make your marketing system better. So there are a lot of ways to get yourself in front of your people in a marketing system: Twitter, Instagram, traditional job boards, job applications, LinkedIn, email, in person, phone calls, via postal services even. But broadly speaking, there are 2 buckets of client acquisition. Number 1, active. Number 2, passive. Active is you actively going out there and putting yourself in front of people that may not have a defined role they're looking for yet. They might just have a problem, but they're too busy to begin a hiring process. Lots of business owners are way too swamped to hire for somebody that they desperately need. And passive is you waiting for job applications to be posted and applying to openings. This is probably the passive bucket at any given time, and this is the active bucket. Personally, I think you should do a combination of both with a heavier focus on active because, my opinion, if you only do passive, it's going to take a long time to find a bunch of clients. With active, you can cast wider nets and potentially it's less competitive because you're not applying with 200 other people for the same job. So there are so many ways to get in front of clients. You might be asking, Dea, how do I choose? Should I do Twitter? Should I do Instagram? Should I do email? Easy. You choose the one that matches your target client, okay? If your target client is a Gen Z startup dude that spends all his time on Twitter and he thinks he's so cool, establish a simple Twitter profile and cold pitch via Twitter. If your target client is a 35-year-old female entrepreneur, network in Facebook groups that they're in. If your target client hates all social media, send them an email or send them a letter. That's not even a joke. If your target client is a large company that has traditional job hiring processes, I would check their career pages every week and network via LinkedIn or attend networking events where you know those people would be. So those are just some examples. I really encourage you to think about your service, who desperately needs it. Again, referring back to part 1, who needs it like yesterday, and where they exist in life. Go wherever they exist. And if you're not 100% clear on who that person is, who your ideal client is yet, that's totally fine and totally normal, first of all. I'm not saying you have to know their blood type and how they like their matcha. You just need to know roughly their age, industry, online behavior to guess where they may be and start there. And if you discover that they're actually somewhere else, you can always migrate somewhere else, of course. So to recap, first of all, think about where roughly your ideal clients would be hanging out and make a list. So as an example, if my person is a millennial business owner with an online course, she'd probably be using Facebook groups, Instagram, emails. She'd probably be in high-end masterminds. Now, the second step is to pick 2 of the many ways that you would most like to explore first. Step 3 is now to make a daily and weekly system for how you will get in front of your ideal client as often as possible using those two methods. So for our example of the millennial business owner, I would maybe pick Facebook groups and Instagram, and I have a whole video on what I recommend you do in Facebook groups that I'll link below. But basically I would pick strategic groups. I'd go in, build myself up to be like an authority figure. I'd make sure my profile is optimized. And for Instagram, I'd make a simple feed with a few posts, maybe some highlights like about me, my services, testimonials, book a free call. I would post maybe once or twice a week, and then I would begin engaging with my target clients every day. I would give them free value, be helpful, and after a few weeks, I would cold pitch them via Instagram. There are like cool voice messages you can do. So those are systems you should create to get in front of your target person. You need it broken down into what you will do weekly and daily to create that proper marketing system. There's a huge difference between doing marketing once or twice versus establishing a marketing system. System implies you will do it regularly and for a longer period of time, and only with a system will you see the results that you truly want to see. If instead of Facebook or Instagram, I picked cold pitching as my method, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't cold pitch more, fear of rejection, but I should have more. So the system I would create for that is every day I'm going to send a minimum 2, ideally 5, really well-researched win-win cold pitches to potential ideal clients. I would continuously do this, continuously optimize and ask for feedback. I would experiment, maybe try out like personalized videos or personalized screenshots and emails. I've been getting some of those, they're pretty cool. And I would really study how to make a great cold pitch, something that makes it super easy for that person to say yes to. And step 4 is the hardest that most people don't do, and that is to commit to the system for at least a few months, even if you see no results. Follow your system, trust in the system. The score takes care of itself if you take care of the system, and ask for feedback continuously. If nobody is writing you back, figure out why. Your goal is just to increase conversions little by little. Hey, Nutter. Okay, so we have something the market wants and a way for the market to meet us, but meeting us is not enough sometimes. When was the last time you bought a product after seeing just one commercial about it? When was the last time you married someone after just one date? You're still a stranger to this potential client. We might have to nurture them to bring them into our world slowly, welcome them into our existence and say, hey, come in, stay a while, stay ideally a really long, profitable for me while. We're just gonna go on. The show must go on. We need a warming system, like an oven, to get people all toasty, to build trust with us. And to do this, we need a client funnel. It's just like a toaster oven. An ice cold bun goes into the toaster oven and slowly gets warmed up, slowly gets toasty, and then ding. Please don't step on the laptop. The bun comes out all ready and warm and soft, ready to sign your work contract and pay your invoice. Every successful business you can think of has a funnel of some kind. A toaster oven to get you as the customer warmed up over time. So these client funnels can look like different things to different people, but the gist of it is you want multiple touch points with you. Here's what that can look like. This can last 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. It just depends on how long your client needs to build trust with you enough to give you a chance to work with you. So a quick client funnel might be giving value via DMs, engaging on their stories, asking a few questions, giving them more value, and then voice messaging them a mini pitch to book a free helpful call with you, and then doing the free call and being super helpful on the call to see if it's a fit to work together. And if yes, then sending a work proposal. There are also, of course, much more complicated, much longer client funnels, but I don't want to overcomplicate it or overwhelm you right now. So I'll just recommend that you come up with a client funnel that has at least 5 steps. Come up with 5 touch points you can have with this person, and ideally only the final touch point talks about your service, talks about a product, pitches anything monetary. So some clients may require more than 5 touch points, some less, but start with 5, explore that, and then you can always adjust accordingly based on the feedback that you get or the lack of feedback you get. A huge tip here, I can only strongly recommend you to be as genuine as possible during this process. It is very easy to see through people who are just kind of going through the motions to get to the pitch. So be as genuine as you can be interested, ask them questions, listen to their answers, try to give value, try to be helpful, and I promise that will be way more effective and do way more wonders for your conversion rate. Somebody got their ear cleaned today and is unhappy about it. Because the other component of client funnels is the math of it. Signing clients is essentially math. You need to check the conversions at every step of each touch point in your funnel. So from engaging on Instagram to booking a free call, how many people do it? if you engage, let's say, with 20 potential clients and 4 of those people book a free call, that is a 20% conversion rate. So that's good. So from booking a free call to working with you, how many people actually do that? If you get on free 4 calls a week and 2 people sign a contract with you, then you have a 50% close rate on those calls, which is fantastic. If 0 people sign a contract with you out of those 4, that's a bad conversion. That means your free call structure might need work, or you need better filtering to make sure the right people are getting on the calls. Now, of course, these are small numbers, so they're not going to be as statistically significant. So it's good to get as many people through that funnel to have more accurate numbers and have more accurate conversion rates. Don't just send 4 people through it and say it's not working. That's not enough data. Anyway, so these are really essential numbers you need to know, because once you know them, you can optimize the numbers and make them better. And more fun, you can work backwards to figure out how many people you need to engage with to book how many people, theoretically, if your numbers are accurate. So, example, let's say you want to earn $2,000 a month, and that breaks down to potentially 4 clients for $500 each. So if 20% of people, we're doing math now, so if 20% of people book a free call with you after you invite them to a free call, and 50% of those people will sign a contract, then you need to book 8 free calls to sign 4 clients, which means you need to engage with 40 people to get those 8 free calls to sign those 4 clients. So 4 clients out of 40 people you engage with means you have a 10% overall conversion rate. It's a lot of math. So 10% of people who will meet you, theoretically, will end up being clients of 1 in 10 people. Pretty interesting. So you might also notice that different methods yield different conversion rates. Like my conversion rate for referrals I got from my clients was crazy high, much higher than 10%, obviously, because there's way more trust there than me meeting a stranger, right? So some methods are much easier to convert clients with, and over time you'll figure out which methods work best for you. So it's also good to calculate conversion rates based on the client acquisition method. And that's how the math of it all works out. And I personally really like the math because I think it makes it less personal about me. You know, it's just math, and even the most top tier freelancers do not have a 100% conversion rate, not even close. So don't aim for 100%, aim for like 1% improvements. And I promise you'll get so much further in just a few months. Okay, so once you've got the math, from there it's just about tweaking your client funnel, optimizing each step so the percentage of people moving on is higher, and 2, getting more people through the top of the client funnel, aka meeting new people and getting in front of more potential clients. And that's what the marketing system we did in part 2 is really good for. Okay, now before you boo me for this last one, honestly, this is what accounts for the most lack of clients I've seen. Because chances are you know a lot, if not most, of what I've said in this video, but you're still not doing it. Why? Ask yourself, why? I think I know. And I think you know. And I think you know that I know. It's probably because of you and some kind of mindset block. I had many when I first started. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It was so terrifying for me to begin. Recently, I worked with a freelancer who hasn't landed a client in a while. In our call, I had her list out everything she was afraid of in terms of landing a client. And one of the things she listed out was, what if I actually land a client? She was really afraid of landing a client, fear of success. That's super normal. Or you're someone who thinks you have to be perfect, have everything in place before you can begin. You spend all your time making the perfect logo or website or figuring out your professional business name. That may be a form of procrastination. It may be a form of fear of failure, of rejection. It may be your brain trying to protect you from trying and actually getting out there and in front of the right people, which is what you need to be doing. So if your biggest blocker is you, I have 2 things that may help. Firstly, this is what I call the I reckon exercise. I do this for basically everything in my life. My biz bestie Georgie is the one who passed it on to me, so here's how it works. The first thing is list out everything that is holding you back. Everything that you are scared of when it comes to looking for and landing freelance clients. Write it down. It's very important that you actually write it physically down somewhere. Now, it may look like this. You can hit pause if you want. Okay, you have your list. Now I want you to go through and write down, I reckon, ... fill in the blank for each of those things. What do you realistically reckon about each of these things holding you back? And be really honest with yourself. Do the I reckons as the smart, wise, kind, incredible version of yourself. So the I reckons could be something like this as examples. So this exercise always shows me that 1, there are solutions to everything. And 2, that nothing is as bad as I make it seem in my mind. I feel like when it's in your mind, it seems so ominous, especially if you're trying to avoid thinking about it. Second, this is the is it worth it exercise, very appropriately named. It's very simple. You're going to take one piece of paper, draw 2 lines to make 3 columns on this piece of paper. On the left-hand side, I want you to write down everything you are afraid of happening, all the horrible things, all the possible worst things that could happen from trying to land freelance clients. Feel free to hit pause if you need to. Once you have your mega list, now I want you to write down the probability of each of those things happening in the middle column. H for high probability, M for medium probability, L for low probability. Now on the right-hand side column, I want you to bullet point down why you want to freelance, what it could mean for your life, how could your life be different, if you could freelance full time, what would your life look like? So lots of bullet points. It doesn't have to be perfectly written or anything. It just be whatever. It can just be in whatever format you want it to be. Like, for example, for me, it's like going to the grocery store on Wednesday in the middle of the day and not having to line up behind a bunch of people. It can be whatever, big and small things, everything that could come out of freelancing successfully. Now look at this piece of paper. Is the left, given the probabilities of it happening, worth the right? There's no right or wrong answer here. I'm not trying to steer you towards a right or wrong answer. You have to determine that for yourself. If the chances of the left happening are worth the right, then do it. If it's not worth it, don't do it. Very simple. I'll also link Tim Ferriss's fear setting exercise below. It's really good and super helpful if you are holding yourself back as well. I really like that exercise. All right, so now you've got something clients want, a marketing system, aka a way to tell people about it, a client funnel, aka a way to warm up and build trust with people, and we have you figured out, or some ways to figure out if all of this is worth fighting the mindset drama llama you have in your head for. So yeah, I hope this was useful. I'm now supposed to strategically send you on to the next video to watch on my channel, but I'm not gonna do that because if you really want to land a client, as much as it pains me to say this, you shouldn't watch another YouTube video of mine or anybody else's. You should either go through your notes or take notes on everything we talked about in this video and implement. I thought there were more syllables in implement than there were. Please implement. If you want things to change, if you genuinely want to freelance and make this happen for you, you 110%, 1,000 can. Don't know where that number was, but you have to take the right action. What we talked about in this video are the right actions, so please implement, even if it's just doing something we talked about today for just 15 minutes. Rewatch the video if you have to and find a small, tiny task you can do today to move yourself forward just a little. Okay. That's the end of my weird little pep talk that nobody asked for. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye!